How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the beta world. First update in a little while. Sorry, I've had a bit of a busy last couple of months, but I'm back, and perfect timing. Sorry about that. Like I was saying, the last couple of months have been pretty busy for me. I went overseas on vacation for a couple weeks, and then actually my power went out for a full week. So I haven't really been able to do too much. But I think at this point I have enough progress that I'd like to make a video and show it off. So I have really three main builds that I'd like to show you all today. The first is this build. This is a new skyscraper along the main street. So that'll be the first build. Second build will be this power plant or factory, I'm calling it. So we'll show that off next. And the third is going to be this church. So first of all, this is a new skyscraper that I built. Snow, netherrack, those are the main blocks in the palette. I have a snow biome just over there, so harvesting snow is a little tedious, but it's not the hardest thing in the world. And then netherrack, of course, is super easy. I just wanted a new skyscraper. There's actually no functional purpose to this one. I just want to keep achieving my goal of having like skyscrapers all along the roads, because when you look up, I think it just gives a really cool effect. It makes you feel like you're in a real city. So this church, the placement kind of ruins it a little bit, but if you look right here at this angle and you capture all of the skyscrapers in it, it looks pretty cool. But for this skyscraper, I don't know if there's actually any kind of real world inspiration to this. I guess you could call it kind of modern. I would almost call it like cyberpunk. It just looks like it's something that would exist in a future, maybe. Looks almost like a PS5. But inside, there's nothing in here. I'm just using it to store a little bit of junk right now. And if you go up, I only have access to the first floor here, but they have these little terraces, which are kind of cool. There's not much to like interact with up here, but I think it's kind of cool, just like the concept of it, like a little patio. This one gives you a view of the tree farm and the new factory, and on the other side there is a nice view of the street. So I think in the future, there'll be more builds lining this street, so you'll be able to see some skyscrapers there. I have a really big build planned for this hill. This pillar is going to be the center of the build. It's going to be very big. So all of that is going to be a big build. And I don't know, maybe down there eventually you'll be able to see some more. But as for now, it's just like that. So moving on. Before we move on to the power plant, I just wanted to point out this parking lot, because I thought it was kind of cool. This is where I decided that the main road is going to cross off, so it's going to go perpendicular to this boulevard. Like I said, a really big build is going to go right here, so I wanted there to be a pretty dramatic entryway for the build. So this road had to stop before the hill pretty significantly. You can see I've started doing some terraforming over here. But yeah, I mean, this block here, it was a little small to put another skyscraper, so I decided to turn it into a parking lot, just because I didn't have anything like that yet. And since I have this road that looks like cars are supposed to drive on it, I thought it made sense to have a parking lot. I think, I mean, it kind of diminishes the effect of the tall builds, but ideally in other areas of the city I'll have more tall builds, so it'll make up for it. But this parking lot turned out really well. I really like it. I think it's just kind of cool. Um, it shows what it's supposed to show. So there's that. And then back here, what I want to do is do like loading bays for the power plant. But moving on, showing the interior of the power plant. Also right here is kind of cool. This is just like a little alleyway. Like over here, there's a like sidewalk access to back here, where you have like the tree farm. And it's like a walkway leading up to the power plant. And there's just like a little alleyway that goes to the parking lot. I just think it's cool because, you know, that's something you might see in like a real city where there's like, you know, walking paths, alleyways and such. I don't know. But here is the power plant, or the factory. I haven't really, I guess, decided what I would want to call it. But the story with this is, I got really tired of mining coal. Mining coal is very tedious, and I just don't like doing it. And I need a lot of smelted goods. So my plan was to use charcoal instead of regular coal. So that's why it's next to the tree farm. And I mainly just like bone meal trees and put them into here. What I'm saying is basically this is just like a furnace build. Like this is just a build to put a bunch of furnaces in. So yeah, I mean that's basically it. And I just made it a whole factory for the sake of building something. But you know, just some details. I like what I did with these this grass and dirt underneath. You know, this transition. It's just since like, you know, people will be walking down here, they would go over here and walk up. They wouldn't necessarily turn right because there's nothing here. So that's why it's like kind of grassy, kind of overgrown. There's nothing right there. And then underneath there's grass too because no one walks there either. I just think it's, you know, small details, but it makes the build feel more alive. There's nothing over here. Just, you know, some storage, some crates, it's supposed to look like. The inside is something I'm really proud of. I put a lot of work into it. It might look a little messy, but let me just walk you through it. So you walk in, here's all the furnaces. Not all of these have like coal in them, just because that's a lot of coal. That's coal. I think a lot of this is charcoal. Yeah, a lot of it is charcoal. But yeah, this is where I do all my smelting now, and you might notice that there are a lot of mine carts just like, you know, rolling around. This was just to give some life to the build. These are like meant to be conveyor belts or something. Those are meant to look like they're dropping off fuel. I just have them in a loop. They fall down right here, then go around, and then they come up over there. Over here I have storage, so these are like my smelted goods. Yeah, just like glass and sand and stone, stuff that gets smelted or stuff that is smelted. These are like rafters. These are meant to look like rafters. And here's pretty cool. These are conveyor belts. These are meant to be conveyor belts. So I just have these going in a loop. If this is a factory, they're just you know, meant to illustrate that kind of. Yeah, just little details to give life to the build. But up here on this catwalk, this is kind of, you know, I've never really stepped foot in a factory before, but I assume there's like catwalks where, you know, people can just like do work. You know, there's just like access to the shelving. You know, you can see like the floor. You know, that's maybe where like the foreman would be to oversee the factory floor, make sure all the work is getting done. But speaking of the foreman, if you are on the catwalk and you walk up here, there's this nice little office. This is his office. It doesn't really make sense from the perspective of placement, but I think it's kind of cool. It gives like the build a lot of shape from the outside. So having it here was kind of nice. And yeah, let me just show you around the office. So uh, yeah, I mean, there's like his own picture on the wall, on both walls. You know, he wants to remember who's boss, and he wants you to know who's boss. Here's a microphone so he can make announcements to the factory floor. You know, vacation has been revoked or something like that. Um, and this one, what I wanted to do, what I wanted to do here, is I wanted this to be a button where the floor would fall out from under you. So you know, if you were you know, the union head and you were trying to negotiate a living wage for you and your people, and the boss got mad at you, you could press this button and then you'd fall into a pit of sharks or something like that. So so that's there. But yeah, I mean that's the factory or the foreman's office. Um, yeah, I mean these are little details. But yeah, I mean this was a cool build. I really enjoyed building this. This was really the first build that I tried to like overly detail. So I think it turned out really well. I really like how it turned out. I really like how the build looks from the inside and from the outside. Um, yeah, I mean, it was just cool. Also, yeah, smokestacks. They've got some smoke coming out of them. This was my first time trying some organic shapes. I think it worked kind of well. You can see it a little bit better from up here. I think it worked well. In my test world, I think it worked a little bit better. But so, in my test world, I am like 20 blocks lower. So I had a little bit more space. Up here, I very quickly hit the build limit. So those are at like 128. But the build limit is something that keeps on haunting me in this version of the game. But yeah, this build is kind of cool. I was inspired by a picture, like a little clip art picture that I found of like what a factory looks like. So I could put that on screen, and you can see kind of where this form came from. But yeah, that's the factory. So let's move on to the church, and let me sleep before we go over there. Okay, here's the church. So this is a pretty cool church. I put this together like pretty quickly, at least like the form, and then I went back and did some extra details. This is still kind of a work in progress. I'm not fully done with it yet, but I thought it was at a good point where I could show it off, just because it is pretty cool. So this is inspired by a real life church, and I got the opportunity to see it in person. You know, I mentioned that I was on vacation like early in June, and I actually went to the Philippines. And in the Philippines, they have a lot of really cool like Catholic churches, and I got a chance to see a couple of them. So if you can see, this looks kind of like Mexican or Spanish architecture, and there's a very good reason for that. If you don't know, the Philippines was colonized by Spain for 333 years, from like the 1500s up until just about like the end of the I guess you would say 20th century. No, no, the beginning of the 20th century. So 1898. So for 333 years, Spain colonized the Philippines, and they built a lot of Catholic churches. They integrated a lot of Spanish culture into the Philippines. But this is supposed to be based off of the Manila Cathedral in Metro Manila, or it's in Manila proper, I should say. It's in Intramuros, which is the original walled-in Spanish city of Manila. I can put that on screen just so you can see what it originally looks like. But this is like a beta Minecraft version, scaled down with a beta block palette. This is my interpretation of it. So exterior, it's right up against the sidewalk, so I was limited on space, so there's not so much like depth on the sides. Excuse me, there's not so much depth on the sides, but I mean, I think I did really well with you know, the space I was given. So let's walk through the front door and just see. So yeah, there's the main facade. Then when you enter, this is you know, what it looks like. I really like the vibe in here. It just feels like a large church where you know, you get that feeling of like grandiosity. These windows are kind of cool. These are meant to give the impression of stained glass. I'm sure I'm not the first person to do this before, but yeah, this was something I just decided to try, and I think it looks good. You know, we don't have stained glass in this version, so this is the next best thing, just putting some color into the real glass. But yeah, I mean, this is the interior. There's not so much besides the stained glass window. This is something that I might want to add a little bit more detail on, and it's all made of sandstone, just because like the main build is like the real life build is kind of just this brown stone. I didn't want to deviate too much from it, so that's what I'm working with. And then this altar is not based on the Manila Cathedral. This is based on, well, actually I should say inspired by a different church that I got an opportunity to see in the Philippines. This is inspired by a cathedral in, we saw it in Bataan. I believe it's based on a different cathedral that exists like somewhere else in the Philippines, but it was a cathedral in the Las Casas Filipinas de Acusar, which is a kind of like a cultural heritage site where there's replicas and like rebuilds of a bunch of historical buildings. Basically, it's like a privately owned museum. This guy, he's like a private real estate developer. He bought a bunch of cultural heritage sites from, you know, the local communities where they originally were from, and he dismantled the builds, you know, brick by brick, board by board, and then rebuilt them in this resort, this privately owned resort in Bataan. It's I mean, it's like the real builds. So like there's like the original structures for basically the national hero of the Philippines. So Jose Rizal, his father's house is there. Like it's like his actual house that was just like taken down and rebuilt. There's like a bunch of places, a bunch of builds like that. But this was a cathedral there. You know, all that to say. I could put the name and picture of the altar of that cathedral on screen just because I thought it was really cool. This is not what the altar of the Manila Cathedral looks like. But up here, this is like the priest area. If you've ever been in a Catholic church, the priest has like a big fancy chair, and then next to it is like a little tiny chair for like whoever is the trainee or the deacon or whoever. So yeah, there's that. Here's another microphone where you can preach to the people, and then here's like an altar or a lectern. I guess the microphone should probably be over here, but there's that. And over here in these rooms, there's not really anything. These are just like side access and rear access. So back here at the back of the build. And I'll show you a little bit more of the exterior. Let me show you over here first. So you saw from the facade, there's this interesting feature that a lot of these churches had. So let me show you real quick. A lot of these churches had their kind of like bell tower, or I guess you would consider it the steeple. They were just like off to the side instead of being like at the front and center, which is what I would normally associate with a church. They were like off to the side like this, which I thought was interesting. So, I mean, yeah, I mean that's what I implemented here. And this is like a stairwell to get up. There's I just put a little painting here because I'm attempting to add a little bit of detail to this build. But over here, there's like roof access, so you can see a little bit of the city. Over here, there's like the main stained glass window, and there's roof access over on this side as well. And I might put some stuff up here. I haven't decided what would make sense yet, but I think it would be nice to have a little bit more detail. And then up here, there's like the impression of a bell. So gold, just some gold blocks makes it look like this is a bell tower. It's supposed to be a bell tower. But from here you can see a little bit more of the shape of the build. And I'm gonna go like free cam and show you a little bit more, just because the exterior is probably my most detailed exterior yet. A lot of these builds are very like repetitive, but this one, since it's based on a more I guess detailed build, you know, not like a skyscraper that's just like one floor on top of another, but something that has a little bit more character. There was more to this one, so I can show you free cam, you know, what that looks like if I can figure out how to get back in. Yeah, there we go. So I actually figured that I do have free cam. I have single player commands, and I believe if I do free cam, oh yeah, look at that. So yeah, I just have free cam. So there's me, and there's this build. And the way that the build is shaped is, you know, it's like this. Like, I guess, whoa, cloud's glitching out. But the real build, like these wings go out a little bit further. There's a little bit more of a curve to this. I did run out of space because I was at the sidewalks. So I had to deal with that. And then this terrace is supposed to be the same width as this terrace. But again, I wanted to prioritize, you know, I was out of space, I wanted to prioritize the facade. So for my build, this terrace is a little bit skinnier. But yeah, I mean, here's like the main dome, the rear. The rear's kind of cool. You can see like the windows and this tall altar mirror altar window. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. I put some work into this one. So yeah, there's that. And let me go to sleep again. So, yeah, I mean, this is, oh yeah, one more thing. Up here, there's just like the pipe organ. So I have access to this, to the loft, the choir area, and the real altar, you know, if you look, or the real choir area does have this like really elaborate pipe organ that has this like kind of W shape, and I wanted to kind of implement that as well. So this is my interpretation of that with the space I have and the blocks I have. I'm not sure what these are. These are just like levers, but imagine someone up here playing a tune. Very cool. I love these windows. I wanted to do probably more of these, but I think it started looking kind of goofy with with so many windows with the colors. So I just kept it to these just to make it a little bit more more sparing. But yeah, I mean that's basically all that I have right now. All that I have to update for today. Future plans are probably going to be like next up is probably going to be this main build that I want to do here. This is going to be an enormous project, so I'll probably do some updates like along the way, just to you know, make sure I'm not offline for 6 months or whatever. But it's going to be very big. It's going to be big. Yeah. So this is based on a real life city. I guess I'll just let you all know what this is going to be. This, you know, all of these things are based on real life, but this like boulevard with the rows of builds lining this street here. This is based on like Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. This is a town. Well, this is the capital of Pennsylvania. It's near where I grew up. At the end of their main street, it's called State Street, I believe, is their Capitol building. So, if you want to look up what Harrisburg's Capitol building looks like, I'm gonna be building something kind of similar to that right here, and it's gonna be quite a sight, hopefully. So, the goal is, you know, you walk down the street, and you know you see all these builds lining the street, and at the end of the street is gonna be that big imposing Capitol up on the hill, and yeah, it's gonna look nice. So that's future plans. I'll probably make some more videos before then, but yeah, stay tuned, and I'll see you then. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed my builds. Hopefully it's not going to be 2 months until the next update, but we'll see. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.